Good evening and welcome as day number one continues of the 2024 ISC Men's World Tournament, and making their tournament debuts in tonight's game here at beautiful Softball City in Surrey on a superb Saturday night for almost anything is the Grande Prairie Pirates, who Joe Todd finished tied for 7th in 2023 against the Georgian Bay Giants, who wound up with a record of 1-2. As we welcome you inside this special softball facility, you take a look at the four diamonds. We are on main diamond number one, and what are you expecting in this clash?
It's going to be a good sign to see what Riley Mannion has. Riley, a surprise addition to the Grande Prairie Pirates lineup after the loss of
the
pitcher
of Mr. Pierce.
Zippy.
They call him Zippy
Pierce. And so the transfer was allowed for Riley Mannion to come over. Riley Mannion will do a good job, we hope, for the Grande Prairie Pirates. They're going to go up against a real good hitting team of the Georgian Bay Giants.
Zach Pierce is the gentleman you were referring to. Let's take a look at the lineup for the Georgian Bay Giants, if we have that available for us. They will be led off by Czechia international Matty Rysavy. Troy Barfoot bats in the number 2 hole. Andrew Van Bokel, who they'll be counting on heavily, will bat third, and you take a look at the rest of the Georgian Bay lineup. To face, as you mentioned, 25-year-old Riley Mannion, who is a key addition to this Grande Prairie Pirates team. Coaching that group is Donnie Atkinson. Is Rysavy set to lead things off, and we are about to begin this winner's bracket game. 36 teams started the tournament this afternoon at 1 o'clock.
We'll go over some more scores. Final scores as the time permits.
Rysavy played in Pueblo in the 2023 tournament, where he went 1 for 5, and Mannion misses down and away for ball 1. Joe, this is a pitcher you're very familiar with coming up through the ranks. When he is at his best, what is he doing well?
Got a great rise ball, got a great drop, and does have a great changeup. He's got 3 of the 4 big pitches.
And that time he goes upstairs and took a little off. Mannion has played for his country internationally in a U23 World Cup. Last year, Joe mentioned it, he was a member of the Bear Creek Express. He pitched 7 1/3 innings in last year's World Tournament. Went 1-0, gave up no runs on 7 hits, struck out 13, and walked 2. And he is a welcome addition. And, Joe, I know it's early to say this, but when you think about the staff that he just left, I wonder if pitching here could almost be better for his development, as Rysavy lays down a gorgeous bunt that the veteran Derek Mason over at third will let roll foul.
Smart play by Derek Mason just to let that baby go. There's no way he was throwing out Rysavy at first base.
Just a gorgeous bunt attempt. It hugged the line for a long time. But if anybody's veteran enough over at third, it's longtime national team member of Canada, Derek Mason, to let it roll foul. And he's pretty familiar with these parts, being from British Columbia himself. Is Rysavy, the starting catcher, trying to get Georgian Bay going with an early rally. And we are not keeping balls and strikes, but we are on our screen. Thank you, Luciano. And it's 3 balls and 2 strikes to the catcher. Hello, Mr. Tim. Always a pleasure to see Greg Tim. The high rise is popped in the air. And settling it under it is 43-year-old veteran Kevin Schellenberg, who can still field it, Joe. And he's played at a very high level for a long time.
Defense for the Grande Prairie Pirates around the horn. Left, Chris Walshuka in left field. Braden Arcan in center. Brad Burns in right. Derek Mason at the hot corner. Kevin Schellenberg at shortstop. Scotty Galenza at second base. Corey Jones at first. Todd Williams will be doing the catching for Riley Mannion.
Troy Barfoot is the batter and takes high for a ball 1. He's the Georgian Bay first baseman. He was 2 for 8 in last year's tournament. He is a product of Wyerton, Ontario. Both of his hits in last year's tournament came in a game against the Grand Valley Expos, as Mannion delivers a strike on the outside corner.
Troy, one of the veterans on this team, been around the game for a long time.
He also went 5 for 10 when they fell into the ISC 2 tournament. Off the end of his bat, lots of time for Mannion, and he throws it low, forces Canadian national team member Corey Jones to dig it out of the dirt for out number 2.
Well, good for Riley Mannion to get a ball, though. It gets you in the game right away.
As you mentioned, Mannion has not had an injury-free year. He's missed a lot of time.
He had a shoulder injury earlier in the season. Probably took off a good 6 weeks, but just in that healing stage, and then he finally got the move to go out to Grande Prairie.
Here's Andrew Van Boekel. Van Boekel, one of the better hitters on this Georgian Bay team. He's from Tavistock, Ontario. He was 5 for 11 in the tournament last year with a double, a home run, and 3 runs batted in. On the ground, foul down the third base side, Van Boekel. Georgian Bay 1-2 in last year's tournament. They've certainly made some additions since then that they hope will spruce things up for the 2024 event as this tournament makes its way to beautiful British Columbia. And we are delighted to be with you. My name is Peter Loubardias, along with, well, you know him, you love him. He's the nicest man in softball. That's how I refer to him, Joe Todd.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. There's that pitch from Mannion is wide and outside. Van Boekel had one huge game last year. He was 3 for 4 with a double, a home run, and 2 runs batted in a game against Grand Valley as well. And in fact, in the main tournament, Joe, he had a hit in all 3 games that they performed in. And
Mannion's worked him twice upstairs, so we'll see what he comes back with here.
When Mannion is at his best, he can compete with anyone on the planet. And that had good movement up. Is not only does he throw the rise, he throws it with some excellent curve-type motion that'll work towards the right-handed batter and move across the plate.
And not allowed to work, or not afraid to work inside.
Well, that is so critical, I think, for anyone who pitches. This is a mile in the air. Schellenberg with the glasses on takes care of business. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Riley Mannion. Grande Prairie, the Pirates, coming to bat when we return to Softball City.
Well hit, deep right field, it's curving. This one, well hit to deep right field this time, and that one is gone. Trying to put it away is Jack Bettsgrove. The New York Gremlins are world champions.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Start spreading the news, Joe Todd. It's New York, New York.
Grande Prairie, a 1-2-3 inning defensively, and now this talented lineup will make its way to home plate to face another Japanese international in Yuha Yamawaki, who pitched for Japan in the most recent World Cup in 2022. That one was held in New Zealand, and Japan still looking to qualify for next year's Men's World Cup. Braden Arcan in the leadoff spot. Corey Jones, Pat Burns, Scotty Nehigh, Derek Mason, and Kevin Schellenberg. And it's a very, very good lineup that Yamawaki will face in this game, the first for both teams.
A lot of power in that lineup.
From top to bottom as well. Center fielder Braden Arcan, the 33-year-old from Morinville, Alberta, leads it off, a two-time all-world player at the ISC tournament in 2017 and 2019. Steps in for Donnie Atkinson's crew and takes a rise ball high and out of the zone. Arcan was a player who was hoping to represent his country this summer in a World Cup qualifier in Prince Albert, and didn't quite work out for him, but those hopes, Joe, still very much alive for 2025 when the Men's World Cup will be held again in that same Saskatchewan city.
Very much so.
And kid yourself, not for 1 second, this is a great event where we'll decide the world champion of club games. You don't think there aren't some national team people looking on? Of course there are. Mm-hmm. This is a great, great look-see at the best of the best. That's what we have here in the Men's ISC World Tournament.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Arcan.
Braden was 6 for 16 in the 2023 event. He tripled, he homered, and he drove in 2 runs. As mentioned earlier, Grande Prairie with a very talented hitting lineup, tied for 7th last year. And they wouldn't mind improving on that this time around, as the curveball misses out and away from Yuha Yamawaki. And he is not the tallest pitcher in the game by any stretch, but gets a lot of pop.
A lot of movement on his ball.
Ripped towards the gap by Braden Arcan. It'll be for extra bases. He's caught in between second and third, but put on the brakes. So Braden Arcan with a double has the game's first hit.
Defensively for the Georgian Bay Giants across the outfield, Tyler Hewitt in left field, Curtis Root in center, Cole McDougall in right. At third base is Wade Kawagashig. At shortstop, Andrew Van Bokel. At second base, Enzo Chiaramonte. At first base, Troy Barfitt. Catching, Mate Resevavi. And pitching, Yuha Yamawaki.
Corey Jones is the batter, the product of Leduc, Alberta. He's 35 years of age. He was 8 for 14 in last year's ISC World Tournament, and it takes a mighty cut at the Yamawaki rise ball for a strike. Arcan in scoring position after lacing that double into the gap in right center. Just nicely underway on this beautiful Saturday night at Softball City. And Jones thought that pitch was a little higher than he would have liked. Corey was 2 for 14 in July, playing for Canada at one of the 3 World Cup qualifiers. Looking for a big ISC World Tournament on one big hop. Rishavi wants it to roll foul. It will not. And now Corey Jones thinking about making his way towards second, but he'll hold on a single that he won't forget for quite some time. It was the only thing the catcher Joe could do.
There's no way that Corey Jones was going to throw at Corey Jones at first base. Such a high first bounce on that ball, and then it just slowed right down quickly.
And now Saskatoon product Patrick Burns will step in and takes the drop this time. Down and in for a ball. Patrick's 34. He was 5 for 19 at last year's World Tournament. Double, triple, and drove in 6. And has a run 60 feet away to give Grande Prairie the lead if he can make good contact. 2 balls and no strikes. Yamawaki pitched 10 2/3 innings for Japan in the most recent Men's World Cup. And it's great to see that country's top players now finding their way into this event, Joe, into this circuit, and it is lined right to the fence by Burns. Here comes Jones, and a 2-run double off the bat of Patrick Burns gives Grande Prairie an early 2-0 lead.
Good quick hands there by Pat Burns, driving that ball out to left field, scoring the runs of Braden Arcan and Corey Jones for that early 2-0 lead.
Well, Burns is more than capable of getting red hot in a tournament. In fact, he loved it here last year at the Canadian Senior Men's Championships. He had 11 or 12 hits, Joe, in this ballpark, a lot of them on this main diamond. So, and don't kid yourself. When guys feel good about a ballpark, it can make a big difference.
Confidence plays 90% of the game.
Does it ever? Is Scott Nehigh, the 43-year-old, and a guy that I wouldn't ever want angry at me.
No.
Real good veteran hitter. Plenty of pop from the left side. And tried to drive that one somewhere in a gap, but a swing and a miss on the Yamawaki pitch. Is a couple of doubles as Grande Prairie off and running in the bottom of the first inning as they lead it 2-0. And still no one out for Georgian Bay. And that finds the outside part of the zone. No balls and 2 strikes to Scott Nehigh, who seems to get better with age. He's 43. He's from Maple Ridge, British Columbia. He's been an all-world player, Joe, in the last 2 World Tournaments. He was 8 for 16 1 year ago.
Giants looking for that first out. So key.
Change up, and it's a beauty. First one we've seen from the Japanese pitcher who calls Tokyo home. And Nehigh goes down swinging for out number 1.
Good call there by Raisavi. Just to throw off the timing of Nehigh.
And here's Derek Mason. He's 40 years of age from Vancouver. 5 times he has been an all-world player at this event. The last time was in 2018. He was 2 for 14 in his last tournament, which was 2022 with the Bear Creek Express. So for a while, Joe, we thought that his days at a high level might be over. But he came back last year. He played in the Canadians for the Souk Loggers, and here he is again, in his home province, which probably plays a key role in the decision.
Very much so. He was thinking about retirement, but once they called that they were hosting the ISC World Tournament, he did not want to lose that.
And who could blame him?
Yes.
He has done so much for the sport, both at this level, internationally and nationally in Canada, where he's a longtime member of the Canadian national men's team, helped them win a world championship back in 2015. And he's still in marvelous condition as Yamawaki misses down and away for a ball.
Very tough out at the plate.
I remember watching him all the way back in 2007 or 2008. He was just really starting to make his mark. I watched him in a couple of games in a tournament in Kitchener and thought, oh boy, this guy's going to be around doing some good things for a while.
And he has.
Has he ever? This time he bounces back to the pitcher for just out number 2. As Patrick Burns has a 2-run double. That is the difference early on in this affair. And now it's 43-year-old Kevin Schellenberg, who's another guy who
Another veteran of the game.
and another guy who played so well at last year's Canadians that here he is again at 43. And he is still such a slick fielding shortstop.
Very smooth.
I always even bring it up on social media. Made one of the great plays at shortstop I ever watched. As he swings and misses, as Yamawaki looks like he's starting to find a bit of a groove after being banged around a little bit here in the inning.
That was a nice drop ball there.
That great defensive play came in the 6th inning against Venezuela in the 2015 Pan Am Gold Medal Final. And he was in the game because Canadian starting shortstop Ian Fairman was hurt. Went in behind the bag and just made a sensational play that might have saved the game. Canada went on to win it 2-0 on a 2-run home run by a guy you'll see this week. His name is Brad Ezekiel. And it might have been Sean Cleary's best ever big game performance, who you'll also see this week, once again pitching for Bear Creek. But that's the play, for me, synonymous with this guy.
Great range on Schellenberg.
Ball and 2 strikes to Kevin. Pops it back and out of play. Kevin, like Derek Mason, were part of the Souk Loggers team at last year's Canadian Championships in this park. So it's just fantastic. I know how proud these guys are to have a chance to play this event in this province. But Kevin didn't like that call. So a couple of strikeouts, but 3 Grande Prairie hits, and the Giants off to a 2-0 start on night number 1 of the 2024 ISC Men's World Tournament on the ISC Network.
How confident are you in your organization's security posture? If your answer isn't 100%, you're not alone. Most organizations aren't doing enough to protect their data, and they know it. With Armitage Technology, you can stop worrying about IT security issues so you can focus on moving your business forward. Our experienced staff monitor and maintain your IT infrastructure to keep your business running. Visit us at armitagetech.com and make your technology work for your business. How confident are you in your organization's security posture? If you
Two runs on 3 hits, 2 of them doubles, have Grande Prairie in front of the Georgian Bay Giants. A lot of G's tonight, as our friend Mr. Setford pointed out a little earlier. And I'm okay with the G's.
Yeah, I'm all right.
You know, there's a few other names tonight that are a wee bit more difficult. And when your last name is Lubardius, you really shouldn't complain about anybody else's name. So I really try to keep that at a minimum.
I thank my mom and dad. I got 2 syllables for first and last name.
Yeah, you did really well. Joe Todd is about as easy as it gets.
You shouldn't screw that one up.
You probably, at least not the pronunciation. You could mess the spelling up,
Yeah.
depending on how it's spelled. The leadoff batter for Georgian Bay is Czechia product Adam Buckner, who you will see at some point in the circle this week. That is for certain. But he's the designated player in this game. Is Riley Mannion back to work after a 1-2-3 top of the first. And he comes inside, as Joe mentioned, not afraid to do that. Joe, lots of action going on. If you can, update us with some of the early results.
Sure. Oma Tigers defeated the Prince George River Kings by a score of 10-3. The Canadians from BC defeated the Pucast Fastball Club by 11-2 margin. Walton Brewers from Ontario defeated the Surrey Rebels by a 3-0 margin. Down at the bottom, STK Fastball knocked off the Ohio Bombers by a 3-0. That game just on the network. And then Richmond Rays defeated the Westside Jacks from Washington by a score of 11-7. It gets you pretty well up to date other than the games that are on right now.
And we'll keep you posted as it goes along. All week long, we'll crown a champion right in this window next Saturday night, in fact. The New York Gremlins are the reigning world champions and look like they have a great chance to get the job done again. They have been very dominant in the ISC circuit, including winning the most recent ASA Major Men's Championship, as Riley Mannion has his first strikeout of the evening. And now faces, you help me out with this one,
Wade Kawagashig.
And Wade takes inside for a strike. He was 2 for 8 as a member of Ohsweken in last year's tournament.
Good stick.
Kawagashig from Saugeen, Ontario, and a changeup and a beauty from Mannion that Kawagashig was well out in front of.
Kawagashig's got a lot of upper body strength. If he gets the bat on the ball, it'll travel.
His hits in last year's tournament came against the Ohio Bombers and the New York Gremlins. Always a feather in your cap when you get a hit against one of the big groups. And Kawagashig in search of Georgian Bay's first hit of this 2024 tournament. As Mannion really looks to get himself into a groove. And wanted that one that just missed on the outside portion.
The umpires for today's game, Eric Bodden from Las Vegas, Nevada on the plate, Steve Gallagher from Cobourg, Ontario at first base, Glenn Brown from Oak Harbor, Washington at third base.
Eric will probably need a parka before the week's out.
The temperatures down there were a little humid and warm.
A little warm. I was at the NHL draft there about, I don't know, time's going by like crazy. 6 weeks. I haven't been home for about 8 seconds, but it was 44 Celsius every day. Well, Kawagashig becomes Georgian Bay's first base runner, much to the chagrin of 25-year-old Riley Mannion. So a one-out walk, and now the left fielder, number 41, is Tyler Hewitt. A lot of players on this team from Wyerton and Saugeen in Ontario, a nice part of the province, if you have never been. And this ball is going to find some green off the end of the bat, and Hewitt has Georgian Bay's first hit, and now they're in business in the top of the second.
I think Mannion took something off that pitch and just laid out a changeup, and Hewitt stayed with that ball, drove it out to right field.
Yeah, just kept his hands back long enough. It did go off the end of the bat. Absolutely no chance for the veteran Scott Galenza to go back at second and make that play. And here's number 89, Cole McDougall, another player from Wyerton, 3 for 10 at last year's ISC World Tournament. He homered and drove in 3. Had 2 hits in a game against the New Zealand Blue Sox, and homered and drove in his 3 runs in the victory over the Grand Valley Expos.
Cole's dad, Pete, is down at third base coaching.
Check swing, but fouled away by McDougall. Not surprising to see those situations. In fact, Joe, more prominent, I find, more than ever in sports, regardless of the sport that I follow or cover or broadcast. A lot of father and son scenarios.
Good way to bond.
Great way to bond.
You just hope you don't have a bad game. That ride home might be.
The ride's home. You don't have to have a dad that played for a nasty ride home.
Yeah.
Or a mom, I might add. McDougall gets himself set, as does Mannion, who has walked the batter and given up a hit, but he has 2 runs to work with. And see if he can settle back into a groove. Looked like he took a little something off that, too.
Good mix of speeds.
So critical. I saw that Darren Zach celebrated his 60th birthday this week. The Hall of Famer.
Congratulations, Darren. One of the legends of our game.
Maybe the greatest Canadian pitcher of all time. One of the best, period. And a high pop-up that Galenza settles under at second for out number 2. And as I watch Mannion throw, the reason I went to Zach is because I'm not sure he ever threw a pitch the same speed twice. Wasn't that, and Joe, you saw him 100 million more times in person than I ever did, but wasn't that his trademark?
Yes. He could throw that changeup at 3 different speeds, and his rise ball, he had a high rise ball and a low rise ball, just an arsenal that was unbelievable. That's why he was one of the best, in my words.
That'd be great debate. Make a great podcast at some point in time, and I know there's lots of great softball podcasts. And it's always hard to compare eras, too,
eras.
Right?
It's very hard.
Very difficult in all sports. This is Enzo Chiramonte, who's from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Swings and misses as Mannion gets ahead. No balls and 2 strikes. He does have a strikeout.
Second year with the Georgian Bay Giants.
Chiramonte with an opportunity to cash in Georgian Bay's first run. Georgian Bay is a lovely part of Ontario.
Yes.
Here's the 0-2. It is pulled down the line. There is room. And veteran Chris Walushka in foul territory is Mannion out of a small jam to end the second. It's 2-0. Grande Prairie. Look at that shot. They don't come much better than that.
HRD Bat Co. owners Nick Shales and Trevor Oakes want to bring the best quality bats to baseball players all over the world. Our pro-grade wood combined with our finish process makes them some of the hardest bats with the biggest pop in the game. Customization is our specialty. We offer a variety of handcrafted models and unlimited design. Visit us at hrdbatco.com. Play hard, swing hard.
Does your game need work? Want to get better every game? Every at-bat? You need Lumberjack Sports, focusing on exceptional quality and providing players with reliable, long-lasting product. Lumberjack Sports brings you in-game equipment and off-field workout gear, designed and tested by top fastball player Nick Shales. Hard work, strength, and all-around commitment to getting the job done, and done right, is the motto for Lumberjack Sports. Learn from the best. Play like the best. Check out lumberjacksports.ca.
Grande Prairie, the Pirates leading the Georgian Bay Giants 2-0. As longtime veteran Scott Galenza from Red Deer, Alberta, steps into the batter's box. Had a great conversation, spent some quality time with head coach, and he's one of my favorite people in the game, of Grande Prairie, Donnie Atkinson, and he said of all the people he's been around in the game, Scott Galenza might be the best teammate he's ever been around.
That's a compliment.
And Donnie's been around a few good ones.
Last year, Donnie joined us up in the booth in Circle Tap. It was a great broadcast.
Yeah, he does a terrific job. I was lucky enough to have him in this very park, in this very spot for a couple of games during the Canada Cup Women's International Tournament. That is a fabulous event if you've never been, every early July. I could have used him for about 23 others. But that was his comment about Scott Galenza, a former goaltender. And a good one at that, right. Did not have a hit at last year's ISC tournament. Looking to change that, and he'll have to wait for his next at-bat. And the one thing you can say about Ua Yamawaki is after the double that scored 2 by Patrick Burns, he's really found his mark.
Well, we saw that earlier in another game, too. And this is obviously the debut of Ua Yamawaki at the ISC World Tournament. You suspect they're coming in with jitters, butterflies, a little nervous, so he's settled down now.
Yeah, he has 3 strikeouts. Struck out the last 2 and retired 4 consecutive batters. And dealing with catcher Todd Williams. Todd is from Spruce Grove, Alberta, 4 for 14 at last year's ISC with a double and 2 runs batted in. And Yamawaki indeed looks like he's found it. And mention, he's no stranger to big competition. He's pitched 3 times at World Championships for his home country in Japan.
One of the great additions by this Georgian Bay Giants lineup this year.
Well, you and Blair broadcast the opening game win for the Oma Tigre out of Mexico, but how key are a number of those Japanese additions to
those 4 boys really added to that team?
Well, they weren't hard to find in preparation because if there's a national team event played in Japan, they've been a part of it, and little trouble over at second for Shiramonte. And it allows Williams to be on board at first base as we'll await for the official score to decide. That one's right in between. They'll call it an error, and I think correctly so.
I think that's the correct call. Really wasn't hit that hard, and he tried to play backhand on it. Probably didn't have to. He just had to shift.
And another British Columbia gentleman, Chris Walushka, the left fielder who made the catch to end the last half inning. He bats in the number 9 spot. He's from Langford, British Columbia. 3-time All-World ISC member. And takes the changeup, a knuckle change that fell right off the table. So Williams on the air. And Yamawaki wants to keep the difference at only 2 as it's popped into the stands, and look out. Always have to be careful. And with games going on, Joe, here at the 4 respective diamonds at once, if you're walking around the parks,
be awake.
Be aware. Can't think of a much better facility for this event than the one we are currently in. It's marvelous. And I'm sure the players will feel exactly that way when the week comes to a conclusion. So Walushka was 6 for 19 at last year's ISC with the double, and had hits in all 6 games that Grande Prairie played. And a beautiful drop ball. Swung on and missed. And Yamasaki has his 4th strikeout of the evening.
Changeup has probably been his best pitch.
That one looked like the drop to me.
Okay. Just took a little bit something off that.
He did. And to the top of the order again, And Braden Arcan, who opened with a double, as he laced a liner to the gap in right center and then came home on the 2-run double off the bat of Patrick Burns. Two out. And a runner at first as it nearly gets away from Rishavi, the Czechia catcher, who played with Pueblo, Colorado last year.
Made the ISC 2 All-Star team, I believe.
Indeed. And a member of the Czechia national team. Yamawaki works inside, and he wanted that pitch. That was about as strong a reaction from number 17 as we've seen so far in the game. So Arcand in front of the count. Will they give him the green light here? Even if it was green, it was going to become red on that pitch. A 2-out walk for Braden Arcand. And he's on base for a second consecutive time. And now Corey Jones, who had an interesting base hit his first time up. Knocked one right in front of home plate, went up in the air, and just sat about 3 feet down the third base line.
Strategically placed.
And one thing about Corey, when he squares it up, it goes a long way. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. His dad, Jim, who's in the stands, was a marvelous player. One of the better hitters that I watched growing up. So how neat must that be in your house when dad and son of both
played on the national team.
On the national team.
Yeah.
Doesn't get much better, does it?
No.
Yamawaki on the outside corner.
Yamawaki with 46 pitches so far. We're just in the second inning.
25 in the first, correct?
Yes.
Trying to make shorter work of this Pirates team who can put up some runs in a hurry if you're not careful. And Corey a swing and a miss to end the inning. So a fifth strikeout for Ua Yamawaki, and Georgian Bay trails it 2-0 after 2 on the ISC network.
The annual Boys of Summer tournament is held every July at the Circle Tap Bar and Grill in Denmark, Wisconsin. We host some of the top teams in the game at one of the best venues in softball. The atmosphere of old-time fast pitch with all of the amenities of a full-service bar and grill in the grounds can't be beat. Reduced-rate hotels about 10 minutes from the park are available in Green Bay. To bring your team to the annual Boys of Summer tournament next July, contact Dean Kane at deankane16@gmail.com. Thanks to Circle Tap for their support of the broadcast program.
Yes, we want to thank all our sponsors for making these broadcasts possible from Softball City, where in our current matchup, it is the Grande Prairie Pirates leading the Georgian Bay Giants 2-0. 3 hits, and none of them, except for one, with some pop. Couple of doubles and an infield single. And Ua Yamawaki, in his tournament debut, has 5 strikeouts after a bit of a tough first 3 or 4 batters. Since then, he's done a really nice job. And the number 9 hitter, Curtis Root, to lead things off for Georgian Bay. win and a loss to begin last year, and then fell in a game to Nate's Automotive to drop them down to the ISC 2 tournament where they did well.
Extremely well.
So, Joe, maybe you can explain that format for these teams. There's 36 here, and then when are you in a position to fall off into ISC 2?
Well, potentially after your second game, but for sure after your third game. So probably that would go into about Monday, about noon hour, is where you see teams starting to make the shift over.
So you're guaranteed to play 4 games here.
Yes, you are.
Well,
World Tournament Chairman Rich Haldane has done a great job scheduling that extra game in. Some teams only went home with 3 games in earlier years.
Well, you come a long way. Cost is not always favorable. These teams have varying budgets.
Yes.
I'll just leave it at that. And a 1-2 pitch from Mannion on the way to root. Grounded, foul towards Corey Jones. Jones, Galenza, Schellenberg, and Mason around the infield, with the battery mate of Mannion being Todd Williams. Patrick Burns in right. Chris Walushka in left, and the center fielder, the talented Braden Arcan. Brother Keegan Arcan on the roster, but not playing, and there's a whale of a off-speed pitch from Riley Mannion as he has his second strikeout. Mannion to me is such an interesting figure. And the reason I say that, Joe, is he's right on the precipice of taking another step into becoming what I would call a true elite pitcher.
And that's why I really like this move for him. It creates that chance for him to get some games in under his belt at the age of 25. He's going to learn from this experience, be it good or bad.
I think it's great.
Yes.
I think for his development,
Yeah.
which he won't care one iota what I think, and nor should he. But I think when you're at this stage of your career, you can't have enough quality reps. And you can fall behind. Last year he only pitched 7 innings when you're behind people like Schofield and Cleary.
Yeah. You just need more work than that.
You need more work than that at this point
Yeah.
to become in that upper echelon. Raishavi into a tough spot, but Arcan can make up some ground, and he did right there to retire the catcher.
Good wheels and range there by Arcan. Read it well off the bat.
Yeah, gets an excellent jump, didn't he? So a fly ball to center, and there are 2 down as I get used to the new scorebook, which I keep forgetting about the 9 spot. It's in a odd spot. It's a great new book. I'm starting to like it, but it's different. And as I marvel on at my new scorebook, which you care not one iota about watching or listening at home, I can tell you that Troy Barfoot is the batter. He grounded back to Riley Mannion in the first. And a check swing towards Pete McDougall over at third. Just a glorious night. Couldn't really order it up any better. And the thing that I quite appreciate is, Joe, let's just say it's a really warm day, but a month ago in this spot,
Was it a lot warmer?
whew,
Oh. We're very fortunate.
it was an easy bake oven at 6 o'clock. As the pitch up and just out of the zone. There's Riley Mannion. You can tell by him stomping around just a little bit. And that's an interesting thing, right, between home plate umpire and pitchers. It takes a while in a game for both to really become comfortable with one another. And I think that's important to mention.
Exactly. You have to make sure that if that pitcher is used or that umpire is calling that outside corner of the plate and not the inside, that's the part you're going to work.
So 3 balls and a strike to Barfoot. Georgian Bay has 1 hit so far. And Barfoot, you could tell that was completely reactionary. That was not what I expected, I think, would have been ringing between his 2 ears.
Well, Barfoot kind of got baffled his first time at bat. Just went off the end of the bat, just stuck a bat out there. So he wants to have a better plate appearance here.
I don't think Riley throws the change up here, but it's been a good pitch for him.
I think rise ball.
Would be my guess. That's what it was. On the ground, Galenza, nice little hop. 1, 2, 3 go the Giants in the top of the 3rd. Grande Prairie continues to lead by a pair.
Dreamcatcher, inch by inch, we'll fight to make the lives of First Nations people in this community, this province, and on this continent better. I know we have a long way to go, but I'm proud to say as long as our people have a need, Dreamcatcher will be there for them.
Nice crowd is formed on this lovely Saturday. Great place to bring your family, friends, and a good ball game going on. 2-0 in favor of Grande Prairie, who I'd say would be the favored team in this first matchup. First game for both teams, and the gentleman at home plate is the reason for the 2-0 lead. His 2-run double, a scorcher to the wall in left center. Patrick Burns has cashed in both Grande Prairie runs as they bat in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Yeah, Milwaukee has to show him something different this time at bat.
Hit it hard off the glove of Shiramonte, but there's another hit for Burns. He loves it at Softball City. He's 2 for 2.
He wants to play his home and away games here.
And even the off-season events. So 2 for 2 is Patrick Burns, including a 2-run double. And hit that ball with authority as well. No chance in that case. Is here's Scott Nehigh, who struck out and swings and misses on the Yamawaki offering. The great thing about technology sometimes, although it doesn't treat me well, and I don't treat it that well either, and I talked about how good Patrick Burns was at the Canadian Championship, Joe. He had 15 hits. I thought it was 12, so I double-checked. He was 15 for 20 here last August and early September, and he's 2 for 2 today, as Nehigh goes down swinging for a second time in the game. No wonder you want to play home and away. That's a collective now. 17 for his last 22 in the park. That's silly. That's video game goofy. That's what those numbers are.
Some days the game just comes in like a Canadian Tire beach ball.
I'm going to chat with him about that before the week goes along too much farther. As Derek Mason takes a strike. This won't be the first time these two have faced one another, but certainly the first time they're doing so at this ISC Men's World Tournament, the 2024 edition, and we think it's going to be one of the best. As Mason does go around, according to the first base umpire. 3 umpire crews to begin or right throughout, Joe?
Right throughout. They might probably go to 5 for the championship day, or maybe the semifinal and the final.
High rise fools Mason. And that's strikeout number 7.
7 of the 8 outs, too.
So Yamawaki has pitched well. He's given up 4 hits. 2 to Patrick Burns. And it's either give up a hit or strike someone out, as you just mentioned. Kevin Schellenberg struck out his first time up and takes on the inner half for strike 1. The Grande Prairie shortstop, the 43-year-old. Age is just a number.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My number's getting big.
I'm no spring chicken anymore either. I remember watching my first ever ISC in Saskatoon in the year 1987. When Teleconnect won the title behind the pitching of a gentleman by the name of Michael White. Strikeout number 8 for the Japanese national team member who's giving Georgian Bay a quality outing. They trail it 2-0.
For the best Bear Tent banter on the airwaves, listen to Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly. Here's some of the biggest stars chatting with 2 of Newfoundland's own, Jason Hill and Steve Mullally. It's unfiltered and uncensored. Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly, wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's talk about a local one-stop shop. Live Well for Life is just that. A fitness, nutrition, and therapy facility all under one roof. Located at 3878 Wellington Street in Mitchell, Ontario, you can get so much done in just one visit. A full complement of staff on hand include chiropractic, massage, and personal training to get you back to your healthy self. Find them on the web at livewellforlifeinc.com or give Live Well for Life, a proud sponsor.
Well, we're living well. We're watching the best men's fast pitch softball in the world. That's a pretty good way to live.
Yes.
Peter Loubardias, Joe Todd, on day 1 of the 2024 ISC Men's World Tournament, where the Grande Prairie Pirates lead the Georgian Bay Giants 2-0.
Georgian Bay looking for their second hit of the game.
Yeah, 1 hit. And it belongs to Tyler Hewitt. This is Andrew Van Bokel. He popped out to shortstop Kevin Schellenberg. It's on the way to him again, this time on the ground. And there's what has always made Kevin so good at short. Not only his range, but look at this quick release, Joe. Ball gets out of his hand in a hurry.
Yeah. You say the release, but it's the transfer of the ball from the glove over to. And that's the quick part that you're grasping, and he's got excellent skills with that. The transfer is so important.
It is, and even in the transfer, though, what's also important is not to flip it out of there, but to take it out of there.
Yeah, it's smooth.
In, out, gone. And so well put by yourself. Now, the transfer sets you up to be able to throw it. Without a good transfer into your hand, you can't release it quickly. Adam Buckner, the designated player, he struck out versus Mannion. And that looked to be the rise, swung on and missed by Buckner. He's from Prague. He was 5 for 12 in last year's U23 World Cup with Czechia as a batter. He tripled in that event, homered, and drove in 5. So he's just a youngster. And a nice addition as well to this Georgian Bay team.
I saw him at a few club tournaments in Ontario. He's got a very good stick. Got a great eye at the plate.
And we'll see him in the circle. Mannion.
Broadcaster curse, strikes again.
Happens a lot, Joe. Trust me. 40 plus. Strikes a lot until they go, hey, you know who's really cursed? The guy chatting.
Yeah. Shut up.
Yeah, you just be quiet. We've heard from you for far too long. That is the 3rd strikeout of the game for Riley Mannion. And now he deals with Kawagashig.
Very good.
Thank you. Wade drew a walk back in the 2nd. It's Kawagashig trying to ignite a Georgian Bay offense that has just 1 hit. And this is hit relatively well. It is carrying, and it's off the fence. Kawagashig on his way to 3rd, sliding, didn't need to, with a triple. As Patrick Burns went back, and it just kept carrying, Joe.
Well, if you look at those flags in center field, they're pushing out that way, so that ball gets up in that current. It's going.
And I have found calling and being at a number of games the last 5-6 years, the wind will swirl in this diamond. It can be tricky.
Mm-hmm. Well, it switched a couple of times earlier in the game that Blair and I did.
So should be scored a triple. And Georgian Bay with their first runner at 3rd base in the game. For Tyler Hewitt, who has the only other hit. He singled. He blooped one over the head of second baseman Scott Galenza. As this game heats up a little bit. Hit hard, but foul. Off the bat of Tyler Hewitt. Patrick Burns scoring both runs as far as knocking them in with a 2-run double in the bottom of the 1st. Mannion up and in and misses.
Important plate appearance here for Tyler Hewitt. So important for Georgian Bay Giants to get back in this game. You only get so many chances in a game.
Looks like Grande Prairie, for the most part, might be prepared to give up a run. Their middle infield is back. And if I'm coaching, I'm in exactly the same headspace.
Sure. Well, especially with 2 out.
I think there's only 1 out, there's 2 out here for sure. I got confused. Of course you're back. I'm looking at the scoreboard in front of me that now does have 2 out. So needless to say, of course you're playing back with 2 out. So a key at-bat in the game for Georgian Bay. And Hewitt swings and misses.
Great changeup by Mannion.
Riley Mannion's 4th strikeout of the game is his biggest. Gets him out of a mini jam. And Grande Prairie continues to lead by 2 in the first game for both of these teams of the 2024 ISC Men's World Tournament.
Welcome to Mont Hill Golf and Country Club. With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none. Well, here you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca. We can't wait to see you soon.
Good game on this Saturday night. It's day one of the ISC Men's World Tournament. 36 teams open the day in hopes of being crowned the champion. And Grande Prairie, courtesy of 2 bottom-of-the-first runs, lead it, and they have certainly, albeit with an advantage, had their fair share of trouble with Uha Yamawaki. He has 8 strikeouts in the game, Joe.
Yes, but just on the wrong side of the scoreboard. He's got to get some offense going for his team.
Yeah, his team only has 1 hit. And he starts Scott Galenza inside with a ball. Yamawaki had 22 strikeouts in 10 2/3 innings at the 2022 Men's World Cup in New Zealand. As a member of Team Japan. And the Japanese have become a softball powerhouse. We know they are on the women's side. Fell back a little bit, though, Joe, in the last World Championship. Just a touch. And there are several prominent members of the Japanese national team participating. Would there not be more than ever in this year's tournament, Joe?
I think this is the most we've ever seen over here.
I've been wondering for years, as a very avid connoisseur of the game at the international level as well, why there haven't been more. But it's an exciting year because a lot of them have made their way to Vancouver and into the club circuit, including Uha Yamawaki. The Oma Tigre, they have a large collection, helped them earlier today to a 10-3 victory and a second-place finish at the ASA National Championship that just recently concluded. A full count to Scott Galenza. Diving play by Van Boekel and an absolute gem.
Great range for him to go to his backhand and then pick that ball up and fire a strike over to first base.
Andrew Van Boekel with a web gem to take a hit away from Scott Galenza. Look at him dive in the hole.
Threw from his knees, too.
Pretty to watch. Not so pretty if you're Scott Galenza and you're still looking for your first hit in your last 2 ISCs.
He's fighting it.
He's going back to the dugout going, if that's not good enough to get it done, what will be? Todd Williams, he reached on an error and took a mighty cut at that pitch. A marvelous defensive play by the shortstop, Andrew Van Boekel. Took a little something off. Yamawaki not afraid to mix up his speeds either.
Done a good job. First had a tough first inning.
Yeah, the 2 doubles.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's been dynamite. And that's strikeout number 9. As he gets Williams swinging. 37-year-old Chris Walushka is the batter. From Langford, British Columbia. His best ISC World Tournament in recent memory is this one is well struck and caught. Curtis Root.
Great range by Root to track down that ball. Watch the replay there.
Spectacular catch. The root of all evil if you're Grande Prairie, not if you're Georgian Bay. They're hanging around thanks to 2 great defensive efforts.
This business was opened in 1965 by my father, Ned Mattiosi. Could have walked in here 25, 30 years ago and seen just about the same thing. The process of making this suit takes about 6 weeks. It goes through about 12 or 13 hands as it's moved along the line. It's an old-time place. Making stuff from scratch here in the city at a reasonable cost. It's a very personal type of business.
I bet those spectators enjoyed the great defense. Georgian Bay with 2 brilliant defensive efforts, one by the shortstop, Andrew Van Boekel, the other from center fielder Curtis Root, who robbed Chris Walushka of hitting a home run.
Well, you just showed the defense. Let's show some offense now.
Georgian Bay to hit in the 5th. They have 2 hits in the game, a single and then a Wade Kawagashig triple.
Riley Mannion with 61 pitches so far after 4 innings of work. That's 15 pitches per inning. That's pretty well right on the average.
Yeah, that's good efficiency, I would suggest. Change up to Cole McDougall. Finds the top part of the strike zone. Mannion has 4 strikeouts. He's given up just the 2 hits. Was able to get himself out of what I would call a couple of mini jams in the game. Moves the ball around well. The rise probably his best pitch. But when the change is working, if he continues to throw that pitch more and more consistently, Joe, regardless of the count, that can turn you, too, from on the precipice to elite.
And it's so important for Ed at this stage of his career because our pitching or our national program is getting to the age where attrition is going to set in, and they'll be looking for that next step.
Well, they're looking.
Yes.
Make no mistake. And John Stewart will be here, Canada's national men's team coach. He's also part of the Hill United coaching staff. Canada finishing 3rd at a recently completed World Cup qualifier in Prince Albert behind Argentina and New Zealand. Sharamonte should be no trouble at all for Braden Arcand, and it is not. And just like that, there are a couple away here in the top of the 5th. Yes, Canada internationally is in a spot where there's some great young players and a real veteran group that next year's World Championship will probably be a lot of those players, and you'll see them here.
Yeah.
Might be their last.
Yes, might be. So the step for them to say, okay, I've had my kick at that cat three times in the cycle.
But in the pitching world for Canada, that door is open.
Oh, yes, wide.
For somebody young and new, Curtis Root, gone! A home run for Curtis Root. And if you wondered whether the ball is carrying to that part of the park,
exactly,
you just got another piece of evidence that the answer is yes.
Curtis Root come up with a big catch. Now he come up with a big run.
Doing it all is Curtis Root. And, Joe, I have to tell you, when that left the bat, I did not think that was a home run.
No way.
But the ball really carrying right now to right field. And Georgian Bay right back in it. On the Curtis Root home run, he's in the number 9 spot. And in the half inning after he saved a home run in center field, Rasavi, it'll back up Schellenberg. And the quick release again from Kevin ends the half inning, but not before. Georgian Bay goes to the Root and scores. It's 2-1.
Peligro Sports provides the essentials needed to give your team an edge on the field. Our brand is rooted in creating a unique experience tailored to the specific needs of your team to ensure your performance is at the best level to execute plays. At Peligro Sports, we rally behind our athletes and understand their fight to take their game to a dangerous level. Visit our store at 2200 Amsterdam Avenue in New York City or see us online at peligrosportsnyc.com. Thanks to Jose and Peligro Sports for their support of the broadcast program.
I could take a look at that picture all day long. 24 degrees. Barely a cloud in the sky. Saturday night at Softball City on day one of the ISC Men's World Tournament. A 2-1 lead for the Grande Prairie Pirates as Curtis Root made a home run saving catch in the last defensive half inning and just delivered a home run for Georgian Bay over the right field fence. Braden Arcand, the batter, and the changeup swung on and missed. Arcand has doubled and scored and then reached on a walk, so he's been on base both times so far in this game.
Good leadoff batter, good power, good eye at the plate.
Drills it down the right field line, but foul. Arcand, mentioned it earlier, 6 for 16 in the 2023 edition of this tournament. Boy, did he have a tournament in 2019, Joe. He was 11 for 23, 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in. Not surprising that he was on the all-world team in 2019. He was in 2017 as well.
Very good ball player.
The 33-year-old from Morinville, Alberta. The 0-2 pitch. Van Boekel, can he do it again? This time the throw's a little offline. Georgian Bay almost with another brilliant play courtesy of the shortstop who's got great range. And for the third time in the game, Braden Arcand finds himself on base. I would think that'll be scored a hit.
I haven't scored a hit in my book.
I do as well. Corey Jones tries to drop down a bunt. Well, I do not see another error up on the board, so.
Well, they only had 4 hits going into this inning, so that would make it 5.
That would be number 5. Arcand has 2 of them. Patrick Burns has 2 of them. Corey Jones has the other. And asked to bunt again. And I mention this a lot. That has become a lost art even in this sport.
Yes. And just the skill and developing it, it's a drill that you have to work at in the off season. When I used to coach, I worked on it in the gym, and I used a broom handle and a ping pong ball. And if you can perfect it with those two items, you can do it with a bat and a ball.
I like that. Well, the pitch gets away from Yamawaki that time and allows Arcand to move up into scoring position. And a key run now, with the difference being only one. Yamawaki has 9 strikeouts to his credit. He wouldn't mind another right here. Foul down the line. Corey Jones, 2 for 14 in Prince Albert for Canada at the qualifier. Had a very good ISC last year. He had 3 games in which he had multi-hits. He was 8 for 18. How he'd love his first of 2024. Good pitch, down and in.
Nice drop ball.
And make it 10 strikeouts for Ua Yamawaki from Tokyo, Japan. And an important first out.
Really important here for the Giants to shut the door after they put on that run earlier in the game to get them back into it.
But can you get this guy out in this park?
That is the million-dollar question.
Patrick Burns, and it's worth repeating, I believe, was 15 for 20 with Grande Prairie in last year's Canadian Men's Championship here at Softball City. He's 2 for 2 tonight. I'm not great at math, but 17 for your last 22, that's not bad.
No.
As Yamawaki missed and did not miss by much outside. A ball and a strike to the Saskatoon product, Patrick Burns, who was a tremendous college basketball player at the University of Saskatchewan back in the day. So this guy's a whale of an athlete. And he's been injured over the years.
I love to see athletes play the multi-sports games too. So important.
Joe, I could do a show on that for about 7 straight days. Not sure anyone's listening, but yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
It improves your reflexes in different parts of the game.
This one gets away from Reshavi. And now pitcher and catcher look to get on the same page, and you wonder if it had anything to do. You change up your signals when there's a runner at second base, and maybe they weren't quite on the same page. So 2 balls and 2 strikes to Burns.
And with 2 international players too. Chachi in Japan.
In search of his 3rd hit of the game. And the little jump around tells you that Yamawaki really wanted that one. As the count goes full and a very important at-bat here on night number 1. You want to stay in the winner's bracket as long as you can. Burns, make it 3 base hits. And his 3rd run batted in. Everything he touches in this park turns to something good.
Well, so far it's Pat Burns 3 and Curtis Root 1.
Not far from the truth. A 3rd hit and a 3rd run batted in for Patrick Burns. And it's 3-1 Grande Prairie. And that is a large run. Designated player Scott Knee-High has struck out a couple of times. What a thrill it was for him in Prince Albert to make his national team debut at 43 years of age. That's staying with it. Change up. Is Yamawaki trying to become more comfortable in that plant area right at the base of the 8-foot circle, which sometimes I'm not even sure why they draw anymore. Here's the 1-1 off the fists and back into the screen off the bat of Knee-High. Scott, a 3-time All-World player, 8 for 16 last year, 2 doubles, 4 home runs, 6 runs batted in. He had 3 multi-hit games at last year's event.
Yeah, Milwaukee with 85 pitches so far in the game.
And there's his first of 2024. And sliding in safely is Burns at third and runners at the corners after the Knee-High base hit. Good piece of hitting. Went the other way with the outside pitch, drove it into left field.
Coach Pete McDougall's gone out to talk to Yamawaki. Put Ray Savi in that same conversation, get input from him.
And there is activity down the line for Georgian Bay, and that is Buckner. The product of Czechia. Well, he'll be on the same page with the catcher.
Yes, he will.
That won't be an issue. There's the 2 Georgian Bay Giants who hail from that country. Derek Mason from Vancouver, British Columbia. His home province, playing in an ISC World Tournament. And he's played in a lot of them. And maybe an opportunity, Joe Todd, to put this game away with a base hit. Riley Mannion has not given up very much. And Yamawaki delivers a strike in the inside corner to Mason. And Mason, one of 10 strikeout victims for Yamawaki, who could really use another right about now. Now, do you let this go foul? He didn't. The tag and the run scores, a sacrifice fly and a run batted in for Derek Mason. As Tyler Hewitt makes the play, it's always a difficult decision, Joe, to make in a situation like this.
Yeah, I think I take the out in that situation.
I think most of the time I would too.
Especially when you got your number 6 batter coming up in the lineup. He struck out twice now.
But it feels like a really important run.
Yes.
And Schellenberg takes strike 1. So a sacrifice fly and a run batted in for Derek Mason, who had 3 runs batted in last year's World Tournament.
Last 3 batters have all got RBIs.
Change.
Nice pitch.
And that looked like it jumped to Schellenberg's right on top of just the change in speed. That was dancing out of the hands of Ua Yamawaki. Had all the body English in the world to try and steer that one to the outside corner, but home plate umpire was not buying.
Eric Bodden from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Schellenberg has struck out a couple of times. He's trying to avoid a third. He won't. A couple runs. Patrick Burns is having himself a night in Surrey. Again. It's 4-1 Grande Prairie.
How confident are you in your organization's security posture? If your answer isn't 100%, you're not alone. Most organizations aren't doing enough to protect their data, and they know it. With Armitage technology, you can stop worrying about IT security issues so you can focus on moving your business forward. Our experienced staff monitor and maintain your IT infrastructure to keep your business running. Visit us at armitagetech.com and make your technology work for your.
Nice to see you too. Glad to have you. Grande Prairie leading Georgian Bay by a score of 4-1. Looks like they may be watching.
Yes. Always glad to see that.
Absolutely. So 2 more runs for Grande Prairie, and now it's a 3-run lead that Riley Mannion is working with. He's given up just 3 hits. Braden Arcand is a long way to go this time and won't get there. So a leadoff single for Troy Barfoot. Exactly what Georgian Bay was looking for. When you're down by 3 runs, what do you need? You need base runners.
The bloop, the bleep, and the blast.
And looks like we're going to get a running change. There's Pete McDougall. And coming into the game to run is going to be Sam Miles. So he'll run for Troy Barfoot, and now shortstop. And boy, he's been impressive defensively. Andrew Van Boekel popped out to short, grounded out to short. So the shortstop is all about everything to the shortstop. As Mannion delivers a changeup for a strike.
You always like testing your counterpart.
That guy's pretty test-worthy over there. And Andrews put on a whale of a show. He made some play a couple innings ago. There it goes again. The underhand toss is just in time as Galenza avoids being spiked. There's Miles with a hard slide to make sure he broke up any potential double play ball. Could have hurt himself. That was not a very comfortable looking slide.
Should have slid a lot earlier.
So Van Boekel, who has really good speed, and now Adam Buckner, the designated player who was warming up in the last inning. Pitching has not been an issue for Georgian Bay, although Grande Prairie now is up to 7 hits in the game. But they've struck out 11 times versus Uha Yamawaki as Buckner fouls it back. Adam has struck out twice against Riley Mannion, who by my count, Joe, has 4 strikeouts in the game. Is that what your sheet says as well? You have 5. I trust you more than me. And now I see where the 5th one is. So thank you. And a swing and a miss on the high rise, well out of the zone to Buckner. The product of Prague, Czechia. There's a city I am dying to visit.
Was there in 2019. Very lucky to be there.
Has a base hit is Mr. Buckner. And Georgian Bay with runners at first and second, and only one out in the top of the 6th. Yes, I hear it is a spectacular place.
I've never seen such great engineering in the buildings and architecture.
Well, the only major city in Europe that was untouched by the Second World War.
That's correct.
Which certainly doesn't hurt.
Yes.
We'll take a break. Riley Mannion's evening is over. And we'll share who the new pitcher is when we come back on the ISC Network. There's Liam.
Sometimes people worry about asking for help because there can be a stigma around mental health problems.
Trust your teammates.
Trust your teammates. Trust your teammates.
They might believe that asking for help means admitting that something's wrong.
Trust your teammates. Trust your teammates.
Some people worry about how others might see them.
Trust your teammates.
Trust your teammates.
Asking for help means that you want to make changes and take the first steps towards better mental health.
Trust your teammates.
Trust your teammates.
We should celebrate the courage it takes to speak up and make changes.
Trust your teammates. Trust your teammates.
Getting help is part of recovery.
Trust your teammates.
Trust your teammates.
Mental health isn't something you need to keep to yourself. Talk to a friend. Trust your teammates. You're not alone.
Trust your teammates.
Trust your teammates.
The first steps may be the toughest, but knowing where to look for help is a good start. Community mental health organizations like the Canadian Mental Health Association or Mental Health America offer resources and programs that can help you. Visit cmha.ca or mentalhealthamerica.net to find a branch in your community.
And remember,
Trust your teammates.
Trust your teammates.
Well, we trust our teammates.
Yes.
But I will say this, in all sincerity.
We were grasping.
In all sincerity, it's an amazing message.
Yes.
Never be afraid to reach out when you are troubled. We all are at certain times. New pitcher is 20-year-old Christchurch, New Zealand's Liam Potts, who has a really bright future. Watched him pitch for his home country in Prince Albert at the World Cup qualifier in July. Very impressed. As Kawagashid swings and misses on the rise. Now, we've talked about players with good changeups. Joe, Liam Potts has a very good changeup.
Very deceptive. He just hides it extremely well. Same pitch, same release point.
4-1, but runners now at second and third as Riley Mannion has given way to Liam Potts. And it's lefty against lefty, and another lefty on deck as well for Georgian Bay, who have a great chance to really get themselves back in the game again.
A crucial part right here.
Curtis Root drew them to within one in the fifth with a solo homer to right, only to have Grande Prairie come back with two of their own in the bottom of the inning. Potts upstairs. And Kawagashig fails to pull the trigger. Wade, the third baseman, tripled to right field his last time up on a ball that carried and carried. And he'll draw the walk to load the bases. So Georgian Bay, 4 hits in the game. They've committed a couple of errors. And the batter is left fielder Tyler Hewitt. Arcand racing in. Van Boekel will be forced to hold, and Arcand again shows you the kind of range he has in center field. He almost
overran it.
Yeah. And was basically at the top of the infield to get it.
So he read it extremely well off the bat. So key for a center fielder.
And at this time of night, that's not always easy to do with the sun making its way behind the beautiful trees here. So 2 away, bases remain loaded, and a strike to right fielder Cole McDougall, who's popped out to second and struck out versus Riley Mannion. But this time, it's 20-year-old Liam Potts. There's the change. There's the end of the inning. Liam Potts works his way out of a bases-loaded jam. And Grande Prairie continues to lead 4-1.
Do you need a reliable supply of products to run your business? Are you tired of having to deal with multiple suppliers to get everything you need? Absolute Business Supply is your dedicated, full-service business supply partner offering over 400,000 products and unmatched customer service. At ABS, we aren't just selling products. We offer a commitment to building meaningful relationships with our customers, getting to know your business goals so we can provide the best possible solutions for your needs. Find us on the web at absolutebusinesssupply.ca and let us
Milwaukee, and there's that knuckle change and a punch out. Not much you can do with that. That's a pitch. If you're the batter, it feels like it's never going to get to you.
You're sitting helpless in the batter's box.
Strikeout number 12. That's a big number for Yamawaki, the Japanese national team member. Wonder if he'll be on the roster in Oklahoma City.
Probably. I would consider that. I would think that's a good bet.
That event coming up starting September 17th. The two favored teams there are the United States and Japan. And there are other good teams in that 6-team event, the third and final one on that circuit. Yamawaki would like to be there.
100 pitches for Yamawaki in this game now.
Buckner continues to throw. Todd Williams hoping to supply some more offense for Grande Prairie. As they look to advance in the winner's bracket.
Shane Milligan now at the plate for Grande Prairie Pirates.
Swings and misses on the drop ball to Milligan. And lucky number 13 in the strikeout department for Yamawaki. He's given up 7 hits. And another pinch hitter. Here's Mitch Stack, who will bat for Chris Walushka. Mitch is from St. John's, Newfoundland. He was 2 for 11 at last year's ISC with a homer and 3 runs batted in. They came in a game against Elmira. He also had a hit against Rio Grande.
Second year for Mitch Stack with the Grande Prairie Pirates.
That pitch is nasty with a capital N. Yikes. Some kind of changeup. Now the high rise with some heat. Well out of the zone. That's a good one.
It's nice when you got those 2 pitches in your back pocket.
2 outs and a 1-2 pitch to Mitch Stack. Down the line, foul.
Good call by our third base umpire, Glenn Brown, from Oak Harbor, Washington. Probably 20 minutes away from here.
Had a chance to visit with Glenn, who worked in Prince Albert.
Finally gets to drive to a tournament.
Good point. Not far. That was the drop, but it missed. As Yamawaki, Joe mentioned it, he's over the 100 pitch count. He has 13 strikeouts, including 2 more here in the bottom of the 6th. Liam Potts will look to put it away for Grande Prairie in the top of the 7th. The 2-2. Missed outside. Full count. The Ostrander Norsemen and the Sydney Tropics on the way next.
Harrison Peters against Sammy Villavazzo.
Look forward to that. And a walk and a quality at-bat for Mitch Stack. And is that going to be it for the product of Tokyo? Uha Yamawaki. Pete McDougall's going to take the ball. And he gets a lot of love from his Georgian Bay Giant teammates. As Andrew Buckner comes in with 2 out in the bottom of the 6th. A 13 strikeout effort.
Ran into some trouble in the first inning and in the 5th inning Other than that, he was pure perfection.
Well, if he didn't have to face Patrick Burns, it would have been a much better night.
Yes.
Burns had the 3 hits.
He might just walk Patrick Burns the next time.
If you're playing at Softball City, anybody might walk Patrick Burns the next time. Well, this is Andrew Buckner, who replaces Yamawaki. He is from Prague. We've seen him tonight as the designated player. Was 2-0 at last year's European Championships. Pitched 12 innings there, gave up just 1 run, 4 hits, struck out 23 and walked 1. Also participated in the U23 World Cup in the year 2023. And Joe, I believe this is his ISC World Tournament debut?
Yes, it would be.
I did not find him in my research as having participated prior to now. In this situation, wants an out and give his team one more opportunity, trailing by only 3. Braden Arcand's had a good night. He's been on base 3 straight times. He's doubled and scored. He's singled and scored and also walked. So 2 for 2 officially for the Grand Prairie center fielder, Braden Arcand. As he looks to Donnie Atkinson for the sign. Some speed on the base path as Buckner works up and in for a ball. Always excited to watch someone for the first time on and in the game and on the mound or in the circle.
It's huge, and for the player, too. Just to, okay, this is my first time. I want to impress somebody that's going to set the stage for next year, for following games.
Well, that's the other thing about this tournament. You're always being watched. Van Boekel, little juggle, still makes the play. So Buckner comes in, gets the out. Georgian Bay in need of 3 in the top of the 7th.
The annual Boys of Summer tournament is held every July at the Circle Tap Bar and Grill in Denmark, Wisconsin. We host some of the top teams in the game at one of the best venues in softball. The atmosphere of old-time fast pitch with all of the amenities of a full-service bar and grill in the grounds can't be beat. Reduced-rate hotels about 10 minutes from the park are available in Green Bay. To bring your team to the annual Boys of Summer tournament next July, contact Dean Kane at deankane16@gmail.com. Thanks to Circle Tap for their support of the broadcast program.
Georgian Bay down to their last at-bat. They trail it 4-1. Grand Prairie with 2 runs in the bottom of the first, 2 more in the bottom of the 5th. 3 of the 4 runs driven in by Patrick Burns, who's 3 for 3 tonight. Riley Mannion started the game and gave way in the last inning to 20-year-old lefty Liam Potts from Christchurch, New Zealand. Ripped for a base hit into left off the bat of pinch hitter, and the pinch hitter is Hayden Hellier. So he makes an impact. As Hellier comes into the game, played in only 1 game at last year's ISC main tournament. He was 0 for 6 in ISC 2 play. So that's a pretty good way to start 2024 for Hayden Hellier from Wyerton, Ontario.
Hayden is actually one of the big sponsors of this team.
Well, and thank you for that, Mr. Hellier. Root, a tough bouncer, and that will elude Schellenberg. So Georgian Bay, runners at first and second, and nobody out in the top of the 7th. As Curtis Root has his second hit of the evening. The other was a solo home run to get them on the board in the 5th.
And now we're back up to the top of the order. Exactly where you want to be.
Mate Risavi. He is 0 for 3. Change up and a strike to Risavi. He is from Prague. He was 12 for 27 in the ISC 2 tournament last year. That'll get you on that all-star team.
Yes. Great receiver of the ball, too.
He had 5 runs batted in one game. That against Midland, the Explorers, in that ISC 2 run for Pueblo. Now he's with Georgian Bay and fouls this out of play down the first base side.
Sydney Tropics sitting in the outfield down that right field fence in the blue and orange unis.
They look like the Miami Marlins. That's a long trek.
Yes.
Great to have them here. Risavi. And Williams, who was pinch hit for, back behind the plate, re-entered. So Grande Prairie, not in great difficulty yet, but starting to feel it a little, I would think. And Risavi just got the end of his bat on that to stay alive. Got that pitch at 68 miles an hour on our speed gun.
A good test for Liam Potts right here. And Risavi. Who's going to win the battle?
Well, Risavi's doing all he can to stay in it as he fouls off the rise ball. Now, if I'm the batter, and it's difficult, might be sitting change right now.
Change or low drop inside.
Change. Again, like the Bee Gees back in the day, staying alive.
Well, so important for Risavi to get a bat on that ball, to get your pitch. Don't leave that call in the hands of the umpire.
See if Potts comes right back with it again. Drop ball this time, down, and the count is full. And more activity for Grande Prairie. So this game really heating up in the 7th. The changeup missed.
Good plate appearance by Risavi there.
Quality at bat and draws a walk, and the bases are loaded with no one out. Trailing by 3. Top of the 7th.
Troy Barfoot had a single back in the 6th inning, just last inning.
And Williams able to knock it down, and not in the conventional way, I might add. It was almost a kick save. So Georgian Bay has the heat on favored Grande Prairie on night number 1. And Liam Potts struggling just a tad to find the strike zone. That's got to be the other check product warming up for Grande Prairie. Lifted in the air to left. They'll send the runner, and a smart play to go to third. Shiramonte tags and scores to make it 4-2. Really smart defensive play.
Yeah, that's the only play. You got to stop that runner from advancing over to third base, especially with just one out now. Just so many ways of scoring from third base.
Well, if you throw home and now potentially you have second and third with one out. So the smart play made, and Van Boekel goes up the middle. They're going to wave the runner. Jones cuts it off, and it's 4-3. Andrew Van Boekel brings Georgian Bay to within one.
Good clutch hit for Andrew Van Boekel.
We have got ourselves a finish, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And a lot of credit, Joe, has to go to the at-bat by Raisavi.
Excellent time, yeah. Worked him to that full count. Was behind the count early and worked his way back.
So the new pitcher, Andrew Buckner, who started the game as the designated player, replaced starter Uha Yamawaki with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. An opportunity now to tie the game. As Liam Potts has struggled and continues to as the wild pitch gets away. And this gets more interesting by the pitch.
Well, that wild pitch now advances both runners into scoring position. Both teams with 7 hits in the game.
Quite a turn of events here in the 7th. And Buckner was not cheated on that swing. Infield in now to cut off the tying run.
Good block there by Williams.
Now, those two probably haven't spent a lot of time together either.
No.
Talking about pitcher and catcher. 2 balls and a strike to Andrew Buckner. Change up. I don't know if Corey Jones even saw it. Burns made a diving catch, but the tying run is going to score. So Patrick Burns comes a long way to make the catch in foul territory, and it ties the game. Joe, I must have felt something like that coming because remember, I mentioned on a ball that was hit to left about whether you should make the catch there or not.
Especially falling in the situation where he can't make a throw.
But in this case...
yeah, you question that.
We are tied. So Buckner with a sacrifice fly and an RBI to tie the game. And it's 4-4. And now an opportunity for Wade Kawaguchi to give Georgian Bay the lead.
Kawaguchi's been on base all the time. 2 walks and a triple.
Quite a turn. Change.
He was going downtown with that one.
Tried to hit it to Richmond. A quality game on opening night of the 2024 ISC Men's World Tournament. And there is a critical pitch. Upstairs for strike 2. If ever you needed an out. The 1-2. Kawaguchi stayed alive. And he's upset at himself.
Yeah, he wanted that. Wanted to get that on the barrel.
Didn't miss it by much. He's tripled in the game and walked twice. Can he give Georgian Bay the lead? Galenza in time. Quite a recovery by Scott Galenza. The ex-goalie had to make a stop and a throw to get Kawagashig.
Good stretch at first base, too.
4-4 to the bottom of the 7th we go. Grande Prairie in a place they didn't think they would be, Joe, about 20 minutes ago. They had what looked to be a comfortable 4-1 lead going to the bottom or the top of the 7th and gave up 3 and find themselves in quite a tussle in their opening game.
3 clutch hits coming off the bench there. Hayden Hellier started off, Curtis Root, and Andrew Van Bokel.
A quality at-bat by the catcher, Raisavi, to draw a walk.
Key, very key in that inning.
That was important. And then the decision by Patrick Burns to make a diving catch in foul territory to get the out, but in making the diving catch was in no position to try and throw the runner out tagging from third. And it's left us at 4-4. Burns is on deck, and he's been the man of the night at home plate. He's 3 for 3 with 3 of the 4 Grande Prairie runs driven in. And the gentleman at home plate can end the game in a heartbeat. Corey Jones with 1 swing. He's 1 for 3 in the game and able to get the end of his bat on that Andrew Buckner pitch. Right now, Buckner looks a little untucked, except when he throws. Then he's all tucked in. Drilled! Off the fence! And Corey Jones has a stand-up double to lead off the bottom of the 7th. And just for a second, I thought it might have ended the game.
The wind has dropped a lot, and the wind has changed direction. More coming in now.
And that was hit, Joe Todd, on a line.
Good rope there.
As Jones goes down and gets the drop on the inner half and pulls it right off the right field fence. And I'm not pitching to this guy. No chance. See if they do.
Kind of surprised.
Looks like they might. Although, could it be the old intentional?
Non-intentional?
Yes. The unintentional, intentional walk.
Yes, it looks like it.
There's a lot of setup outside
Yes.
on the first 2 pitches.
There's no automatic walk in the ISC. They have to throw the 4 pitches.
That's interesting. That's not the case in other competitions. And there you have it. So he's walked intentionally. The winning run is at second in Corey Jones, who doubled for his second hit of the game. Scott Knee-high, he was responsible for the run that Patrick Burns didn't drive in. And I can't imagine they'll ask him to bunt.
No, I would by no means.
I don't think I would, but I'd like to be in a position where I could. With this type of hitter, no, absolutely not. But, Joe, when you look at the situation.
Yeah, you're going to have a runner at third base and only 1 out. So, and Derek Mason's already got a sacrifice fly in his books tonight.
Well, a little drama on night number 1. Why not? Georgian Bay led by a couple of pitchers from Japan and Czechia. And a scrappy comeback. In the air, Kawagashig didn't see it.
Great play by Van Boekel.
Van Boekel, fortunately for Georgian Bay, did. Not sure if it was called an infield fly or not, but if the ball is dropped, runners can advance.
Yes. Well, the ruling is on the.
There's no indication that it was.
Yeah, the ball has to be handled easily by an infielder. I don't think that one's handled easily.
No, it wasn't. Especially since it wasn't even seen by the player who
caught the ball.
So 1 out on the pop out to short. And now Derek Mason. Sacrifice fly his last time up. That was a ball into foul territory. And Buckner wanted that pitch. First and second, 1 out in a 4-4 tie. The Sydney Tropics and the Ostrander Norsemen await. Change.
Nice pitch.
And Mason didn't like it.
Umpire Eric Bodden from home plate, Las Vegas, Nevada, has the final call.
Yeah, his vote is the only one that matters.
Yes. He wears the dark blue tonight.
Here comes Buckner's 1-2 to Mason. Sets up outside his Czech teammate.
Good pitch location there by Buckner. Thinking that he was going to lure Mason into that swing after just having that outside pitch.
Jones the runner at second. Burns at first. And Mason takes down and in. And the one thing that has allowed Derek to have, well, one of the few things, but he's always had a great eye at home plate.
Big pitch right here.
Buckner against Mason. Game on the line. Sharamonte ranged to his right a little and able to throw Mason out.
Good play by Chiramonte to charge that ball and then throw across his body.
The Argentinian. And Kevin Schellenberg, who struck out 3 times against Uha Yamawaki, who had 13 Georgian Bay strikeouts before leaving the game in the 6th. Schellenberg probably delighted to see somebody other than the gentleman from Tokyo. The winning run is 60 feet away here in the bottom of the 7th. In tight to Schellenberg, and there is a base open. And that's Galenza in the on-deck circle.
Buckner behind in the count now. I think it's 2 balls.
It is 2 balls.
3 balls.
And now it's 3. But again, a base open, Joe. Galenza up next, who does not have a hit tonight. Robbed by the shortstop earlier in the game. That looked like it might have been a strike, and was. So Andrew Buckner trying to force an extra inning. Walks Schellenberg.
We have some drama.
Plenty. And a lot more than I thought we were going to have about 35 minutes ago when it was 4-1 and Grande Prairie looked comfortably in front, requiring 3 outs. Didn't turn out that way. Scott Galenza in search of his first hit at the World Tournament in the last 2 years. This would be a pretty good time for it. And Buckner
having trouble finding the strike zone.
Really trying to find the outside corner. This one crosses the plate in the spot he would like to even the count at 1-1.
Now going to tuck his shirt in.
Partly.
Yeah. Got the Wayne Gretzky look now.
Not all the way. Grabs that rosin rag. And this one does find the outside corner. Four in the Battle of the G's. Difficult pitch to take.
Good pitch by Buckner to go out there. Almost teased Galenza into going after that pitch. Didn't miss by much.
Does he stay out there again? Galenza!
Nope.
They're going to challenge this.
And rightly they should. He doesn't have to touch with the ball because he's got control of the ball.
Well, then he's an out for sure.
Yes. The ball does not have to touch the bag. Any
extra innings. And in the ISC, No change.
No international tiebreaker.
No international tiebreaker. No runner starting at second. We'll play till the wee hours if need be. Hewitt. Nice hands over at first by Corey Jones for out number 1. Tricky little short hop. As Liam Potts wasn't sure if Hodgney, the third Grand Prairie pitcher, was going to make his way into the game for the New Zealander. Did not. We're going to get a pinch hitter in Greg Theed, who will come in to bat after Tyler Hewitt grounded out to first.
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Theedy.
Theedy?
Yep.
Well, you would most certainly know ahead of myself.
We used to play against these boys when they were Port Elgin Blue Devils.
Well, we're going to go with the right thing, which is Theedy. Change up. Theedy was well out in front of it. Couple of strikes to Theedy. And there is a quality changeup that I talked about that we haven't seen a lot of since Liam Potts entered the game, and he came into the game with 1 out in the 6th. Replaced the starter, Riley Mannion, and then ended up giving up 3 in the 7th that has us in the extra inning. And what have we got going here? Well, let's stay away from that. Let's not show that. No one needs to see the activity going on down the line. We can tell you we're in a 4-4 tie in the 8th inning, as there seems to be some kind of altercation amongst the fans, I think. Hopefully there's no players or coaches involved.
World Tournament Chairperson Rich Haldane is down the line talking to the umpires.
Well, we're going to get back to work here. Well, a game with a little of everything, Joe.
Yeah. Let's put a little butter on the popcorn.
Enzo Chiramonte, the batter, and just able to put it in a spot that Williams or Mason couldn't get to. Georgian Bay down 4-1 going to the 7th, and literally scrapped their way to 3 runs.
Good gritty effort there.
Including tying it on a ball that right fielder Patrick Burns made a diving catch in foul territory and then was in no position to get the runner tagging. And Chiramonte tells this ball to get lost. He clobbered that off the stanchion that holds the lights.
Got all of that. Potts got too much of the plate on that ball. Chiramonte just drove that ball. It went out of here on a rope.
Enzo Chiramonte clobbered. Never a doubt. Went right off the light post.
Belushka just turned.
5-4 Georgian Bay in what's becoming a bit of a stunner on opening night. And not sure anyone saw that one coming either.
No, because Chiramonte had struggled his first 2 times at plate and got pinch hit for in the 7th inning.
This is lifted a mile in the air. Galenza gives chase, and he won't get to it. Enzo Shiramonte from Buenos Aires had a double in last year's tournament, has a home run in this one, and it's large. That was absolutely crushed.
Yes. Got all that ball. That's what you like, to hit it square on the label, on that barrel.
That went over the second fence, in behind the home run fence, and hit that lamp or the light standard with a thud. Enzo Shiramonte, and the guy at home plate has played a key role tonight. He's homered and singled and saved a home run, or we might not be here either.
Yes.
And that's Curtis Root from Saugeen, Ontario. What a comeback by the Giants. And Potts out of it, but not before. Enzo says gonzo. Grande Prairie try to draw even in the bottom of the eighth. An Enzo Shiramonte rocket to left has given Georgian Bay their first lead. They've trailed all night. Down 2-0, 2-1, 4-1. Scored 3 in the seventh to draw even, and then took the lead on a monster home run by the second baseman, Enzo Shiramonte.
His first hit of the game.
Grande Prairie in the number 8 spot in the lineup with catcher Todd Williams, who threatened to bunt but takes ball one from Andrew Buckner, who replaced the starter Ua Yamawaki with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. Joe, this would have to be called a decent-sized upset, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would, for sure.
You don't see a lot of these on opening day. As Williams fouls it.
Grande Prairie were a lot higher in the rankings compared to Georgian Bay.
Well, Georgian Bay bowed out 3 games in of 2023. Now, this is a different team with a much better pitching staff.
Made huge improvements.
But this Grande Prairie team, 4-2 last year, they're always generally in that top 10 type of mix in this event. Finished tied for 7th in 2023. And here they are on the verge of losing game 1. And Matty Rasavi, the catcher, asking about the count. 3 balls and a strike. The Ostrander Norseman and the Sydney Tropics, as in Sydney, Australia, will close out day number 1 on this diamond, and exactly what Grande Prairie was hoping for. A base runner.
And not what Georgian Bay Giants wanted.
So Williams has already been pinch hit for in the game. And Chris Walushka. He drops down a bunt. And a good one. There's nobody at third. Heads up running by Todd Williams. Joe Todd, the little things make such a difference.
A missed task by the pitcher has to cover that third base play when that third baseman picks up that ball. That third baseman or pitcher has to be over there. Automatically takes it if he's not getting off the mound.
So defensive miscue, 1 out. And Braden Arcan, who already has a couple of hits in the game, has another. We're tied again, this time at 5. And that's a ball that Andrew Van Boekel, you can tell by his body language, Joe, thought he might have had.
Yeah, I thought he had a good chance at it. Did not get in front of the ball. Played it off to his side. Watch the replay here. Oh, sorry, we're on the first pitch.
So Corey Jones, after Arcan's third hit of the game and a run batted in, has tied it at 5 here in the 8th. And the last time Corey Jones batted was in the 7th, and he missed ending the game in the bottom of the 7th by about 3 feet. And Buckner with a big-time changeup that had Jones out in front.
Good pitch by Buckner. Jones needs a little more plate discipline.
Drills it. Another base hit for Corey Jones. And Grande Prairie now with the winning run in scoring position.
Buckner took that pitch on the outside corner of the plate. Jones willing to take that ball the other way. Still moving in this inning, just with 1 out.
And Patrick Burns, as Buckner tidies himself up, this time might have been asked to do it. And dealing with Patrick Burns, who is 3 for 3 tonight with a double, 3 RBIs, and was walked intentionally. And Joe, I'd still be careful here.
Yeah.
But you really can't.
You can't. You got to go after him now.
You can't.
They got him. They're in the position where you got to go after the batter now. And you got to hope your defense makes good plays.
Well, 2 balls and no strikes to Patrick Burns. In a position to end the game. And this a half inning after the monster home run by Enzo Chiramonte, who gave Georgian Bay their first lead at 5-4. A 3-0 strike from Buckner. Well, if it wasn't green before for the batter, it is now.
Yeah, she might be lime green.
It's double green. Ball 4. Bases loaded. Game on the line for Scotty Knee-High from Maple Ridge, British Columbia. There's a ball player who was pretty famous from Maple Ridge, BC.
Yes, I remember that fella.
Guy by the name of Walker.
Yeah. Not a bad ball player.
He's okay if you like Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Scotty Knee-High trying to hit a ball into the outfield to win the game. Now, interesting to see where Cole McDougall is playing in right. That ball gets to you, Joe, out there. You got no chance.
Infield is compressed, too, on the Giants. Jeremiah and Van Boekel.
But if you're in the outfield right now, you have to be at a depth to give yourself a chance to make that play.
Your arm has to be able to throw that guy out of the plate.
What Buckner wants is a strikeout. And he's one away from doing it. Scott Knee-High has struck out a couple of times. He's singled and popped out to shortstop Andrew Van Boekel. He wants to make contact. Does, and ends the game. Grande Prairie avoids an early upset. Scott Knee-High, a single up the middle, and they beat a very game Georgian Bay Giants. Just add another G, 6-5 in 8 innings.
Great ball game, fellas. Two teams. Excellent. Good defense, good pitching, good offensive outputs by both teams.
Game of the day so far in the books. Grande Prairie remains in the winner's bracket, and it was not easy. They beat Georgian Bay 6-5 in 8. Sydney Tropics and Ostrander Norseman to come in about 20 or 25 minutes. For Joe Todd, I'm Peter Lubardius. So long for now from Softball City.
For the latest in softball innovation, the website where you can experience the best tournaments in the Americas.
Live games, news, tournaments, and much, much more.
The best quality live softball, on demand so you can watch when you want. Become a Premier member now. SoftballPremierTV.com.
Live it on Softball Premier.